Okay, guys, let's get cracking. Tonight we want to talk about the present value formula. And before we jump in and start talking about what the letters represent and what they mean, let's just talk about the situation or the circumstances in which we would use the present value formula as opposed to the future value formula. I think this is something a lot of matrics struggle with, is how do I know when I'm supposed to use present value formula, and how do I know when I'm supposed to use future value formula? So the present value formula needs to be used when there is a loan or any situation where money has been borrowed and it's being repaid. So money has been borrowed and it's being repaid. By regular equal payments. Okay, so again, like with future value, there has to be a regular equal payment taking place in order for present value formula to be used. Now, it seems a little bit unusual or counterintuitive, but you could also use the present value formula to describe what happens if you received an inheritance, or if you won the lottery. Okay, so in these two situations over here, presumably if you receive an inheritance or you win the lottery and you receive a huge amount of money, if you keep using money from that every single month, so taking 10,000 Rand a month out or 15,000 Rand a month out of your inheritance or your lottery, what is going to happen to that amount of money that you originally received? It is going to decrease over a period of time until eventually, if you take enough out, there's not going to be anything left. It's the same idea with a loan. So when I buy a car for 250,000 Rand, I am sitting with this present value that requires being repaid. I'm going to repay that over a period of time until eventually there's not going to be any money owing. The loan has been paid off. Okay, so these are the circumstances under which you would use the present value formula. Okay, it's different to future value. For future value, we are talking about savings, retirement annuities, investments, sinking funds, any kind of savings. Okay, present value, loans, any kind of situation where money has been borrowed or an inheritance or a lottery win. Okay, the letter P represents our present value. We know what X means. That is our equal payment made per period. We know what I is because we've seen this before as well. It's our interest rate. And very important, the letter N. Okay, so that is the number of payments that have been made. Okay, so very important. It's different to compound interest. Remember, N represents the number of times the interest is compounded in the period. In present value and future value, N represents the number of payments. Okay, so that's important for us to remember. This lesson, we are going to substitute into the present value formula and calculate the various present values of different loans that have been taken. If there's an opportunity for us to do so, we'll see if we can do something slightly more difficult towards the end of the lesson, but let's just see how it goes. All right, so our first example says, James takes out a 1-year bank loan to pay for an expensive laptop. The interest rate is 18% per annum compounded monthly, and monthly repayments of 1,650 Rand and 24 cents are made starting 1 month after the granting of the loan. Show that he borrowed an amount of 18,000 Rand. Okay, so With all present value calculations, there is always going to be a gap. So here we can see he starts to repay starting 1 month after the granting of the loan. So with present value formula, there is always a gap of 1 period before the repayments start. If you are making monthly payments, then that gap will be 1 month. But in some slightly more unusual situations, payments can be made quarterly or half yearly, in which case your gap is not going to be 1 month. Your gap would be a quarter of a year in the case of quarterly payments, or 6-month gap in the case of semi-annual payments. All right, so the gap is not always 1 month. It depends on how the payments are taking place, right? And we may see some examples like that towards the end of our lesson. Okay, all right. So Lorraine, yeah, which part, Lorraine?
Lara, remember that you can raise your hand and you can talk directly also. So
Yeah, with
teacher Lee can be
pleasure.
away. Yeah.
Oh, shame, no, she's raised her hand. You will. Oh, Lorraine, you're so sweet. You're welcome to unmute and ask, Lorraine.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, I was asking
Oh,
about the, it's not always 1 month, like a monthly payment. I just
oh,
missed
okay.
the first half.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. That's fine, Lorraine. I understand why. I thought that's probably what you were referring to, but I obviously wasn't 100% sure. So it's difficult for us to understand it's probably difficult for you guys to understand what I mean at this particular point in time. All right, but we will see examples like this coming up later on. So what I was getting at is that there always has to be a gap. So in other words, if we take this example of James, all right, he is granted the loan. Let's choose a different color. He's granted the loan at T0, but that's not when he makes his first payment. Okay, so let's go all the way, and then we'll go T10, T11, T12, because he's paying it off over 1 year. So it says here that the monthly repayments of 1650 are made 1 month after the granting of the loan. So this over here is where the loan is granted at T0. But this over here is where the payments start. Okay, so he will make his first payment at T1, not at T0. So 1650.24, and he will do that every single month until it's paid off. Okay, so he makes 12 payments of 1650. So in other words, this is where present value formula is different to future value formula. With future value, there can be an immediate payment. Okay, so we saw on Tuesday how sometimes someone can pay twice in the first month, once at the beginning of the month and then again at the end of the month and then monthly thereafter. That can't happen with future value. With future value, there's always going to be a gap between when the loan is granted and when the first payment takes place. Okay, so I tell you what, let me just move this up, and then Lorraine, I'm going to explain what I mean again. I'm just going to move that up, and then I can write in here. So in this situation here, the loan is granted at T0, but that is your first payment taking place. Right, so there is a gap of 1 month between where the loan is granted and your payments take place. So what I was trying to say, Lorraine and everybody else, is that your payments are not always going to take place on a monthly basis. So they can say to you that someone repays a loan on a quarterly basis, in which case there has to be a gap of 1/4 of a year, which is 3 months. Or they could do an example or give you a question where someone is repaying a loan on a half yearly basis or a semi-annual basis. So they're making 2 payments a year. All right. In that case, your gap is not going to be 1 month. Your gap is going to be 6 months, 1/2 year. So that's why I was saying there always needs to be a gap of 1 period. So if your period is a monthly basis, then there's a gap of 1 month. But if your period is quarterly, then there's going to be a gap of 1/4. If you are making semi-annual payments or half-year payments, then your gap is going to be 6 months. Okay, but for us starting off here, our gap is going to be 1 month. People are paying on a monthly basis, which is the most usual situation of all. Okay, so James makes these payments every single month for a period of 12 months. And they want us to show that he's borrowed an amount of 18,000 Rand. Okay, so our future value formula, P, is equal to X, bracket 1 minus 1 plus I minus N all over I. So we're going to go and we're going to sub in here. Our monthly repayments in this case are 1650,24. So we've got 1650,24. Our interest rate is 18% per annum compounded monthly. So that is going to be 0.18. Compounded monthly would be 12. There are 12 payments because he does it for 1 year. 0.18 over 12. And we would pop that into the calculator and there's our answer. All right, you guys, if you put that into your calculator, you can share with Yolanda and I. You can just put it into the chat. You don't have to DM us. Not for this one anyway. There you go. Okay, so you should be getting 18,000,00139 or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so he's borrowed 18,000 Rand in order to buy this laptop. Yeah, it certainly is an expensive laptop if it costs 18,000 Rand. Okay, is everybody happy with that? Is that easy enough? Lorraine, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure, no problem. All right, so let's go and have a look. Everybody's good, nice, all right. Let's go and have a look at this question over here, right? So I'd like you to try this yourselves. The formula is there for you. Try calculating Malibongwe's or the cost of his new car.
And I'm amazed how this information actually is so helpful now that I'm an adult. That I need to buy things. It's so
Yeah.
helpful. It's really helpful, guys. So,
Mm.
because this part is part of that you will use it in your life. Definitely.
It's not so abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, put your answers, DM your answers either to Yolanda or I, so that no one becomes discouraged. And Let's see what you guys are getting. Thank you, Nhlanhla. Oh, sorry, Anwaba. How frustrating. Poor Anwaba's got no electricity and network problems. Don't worry, Anwaba. This is going, yeah, thank you, Yolanda. This is being recorded. So if you can't hear everything, you will be able to watch it later when your electricity is working again, okay? Don't stress. All right, good, Ayanda. Good, Nhlanhla. Lizuko. Nice. Mamelo. Perfect. Good. Tabang. Nice answer. Thank you. Amahle, something's gone wrong. I'm going to do it on the screen now, but something's gone wrong there, Amahle. I don't know. Maybe often it's your maybe your N value is incorrect. Can you tell me, Lesejo, you fine? Ryan, you're fine. Tuelo, Tuelo, something's gone wrong, I'm afraid. Ntokozo, your answer is just slightly different from everybody else's. I wonder if you used a different N value in Ntokozo. Okay, so Chadwin, Lebogang, no, it's not, I'm afraid. You're close, but you're out by a little bit. Unati, you've given me the same answer as someone else here who also had. Okay, so Lorraine, if you're getting a syntax error, you may have opened a bracket and not closed one, and then your calculator has a heart attack. So here, if you have a look at our formula, you've got to open two brackets and close two brackets. Sometimes we forget to close the bracket after we've put in the exponent. Oh, excuse me, Matrix. Beg your pardon. And then the calculator has a heart attack because you open two brackets and you
I love that
no.
it gives you a heart attack.
Yeah, no, it does have a
Yes,
heart
stop.
attack. It has a fit. It's like, no. Okay, so that was it. I know, Lorraine, I've done that 1,000,000 times myself. Okay, Caitlin, you also unfortunately do not have the right answer. No stress. Okay, so let's just talk about how we would do this. So P would be equal to, we should have 5,000 as our X value, 1 minus 1 plus 0,24 over 12. Now it says here he repays the loan by monthly payments for a period of 5 years, starting 1 month after the granting of the loan. Okay, so there's nothing unusual here at all. N, all right, needs to be minus 60. There would be 60 payments, 1 a month for 5 years. Okay. And then here, 0,24 over 12. All right, so all of those of you that did not get that, there you go, Lorraine. There you go. Okay, so you just forgot to close your brackets. Unati, and let's just see who else. Yamkela. Oh, Chad, when you forgot to multiply by the 5. Okay, at least you know what was wrong. Caitlin. Nondamiso, Lebogang. Do you guys know, Tuelo, do you guys know where you've gone wrong? Can you see what I've done here? Caitlin, go for it.
Hi, ma'am. So
Hi,
I
Caitlin.
I divided by 60 by the decimal. Can you please explain why I wasn't meant to do that again.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah.
when you say your decimal, do you mean
Zero
hang on.
0.24. Yeah.
0.24 over there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to your decimal is this. So your interest rate is 24%. Okay. So 24% means 24 divided by 100. Which, if it's being compounded on a monthly basis, you need to divide by 12 again. So sometimes what you'll see is that people will write 24 over 1,200. Some teachers teach it that way. That's okay. But you're not dividing your interest rate by the number of payments. Okay, so I is your interest rate, 0.24, divided by how frequently it's compounded. So it should just be 12. The number of payments goes over here as the exponent. Your exponent is the number of payments that are made.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so Amartya, oh, you've got to put that in. Ntokozo's fine. Tuelo, okay. All right. Okay, so Yamkela, remember N represents, yes, Lebogang, I'll do that. People do get confused with that. Okay. Yamkela, sorry, let me just go back and go and look at your, what you're asking me. Okay, so Yamkela and Lebogang, your questions are pretty much the same. All right, the minus 60 is the number of payments. Okay, so look at it like this. Okay, remember at T0, the loan is granted. Okay, so whenever a loan is granted, there is not an immediate payment. There's always a gap between when the loan is granted and the first payment takes place. So in this case, Malibongwe makes his first payment of 5,000 Rand 1 month after the loan is granted. And he continues to make payments of 5,000 Rand every single month for a period of 5 years from T1. Okay, so T1 is his first payment. Okay, so he's not making one less payment. Okay, he's making 60 payments from T1 onwards. Okay, Lebogang, did that answer your question? I see you've got your hand up. You're more than welcome to unmute and ask.
Oh, yes, ma'am, it answered my question. Let me see what I did. I included T0 as like the month. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See, now we can't do that with the present value formula. Okay. With the present value formula, there's always got to be a gap. Okay. Between when the loan is granted and when your first payment takes place. Okay. All right. Let's go and have a look at another example where we would use our present value formula. All right. So how much money would you need to win? Let's just copy this and take it with us. How much money would you need to win from the national lottery so as to receive equal monthly payments of 10,000 Rand per month from a bank for a period of 20 years starting 1 month after winning the money? The bank grants you an interest rate of 12% per annum compounded monthly. Let's see what you guys do with this one. How much money would you need to win from the lottery? Okay, so remember, there has to be a gap of one month. We'll try this and let's see what you get. So again, you can DM either Yolanda or myself with your answers when you're ready. Okay. There we go, Lizuko. Good. Ayanda, perfect. Good, Nhlanhla.
I just want the scenario to happen in real life, like in my life.
Absolutely. Okay. Tabang, your answer is a little bit different to everybody else's. So something's gone wrong somewhere. Tabang, just tell me what your, again, DM me what you used as your N value, please, Tabang. Lesejo, that's perfect. Oh, no, hang on. Lesejo, let me just look at you. Oh, okay. No, Lesejo, you're fine. Mamelo, perfect. Daddy, beautiful. Yamkela, your answer's a bit different. Okay, Yamkela, again, just send me what your N value was. Okay, so Tabang, that's the problem over there. Okay, your N value is incorrect. So I'm going to DM you. And then I'm going to ask you why. Okay, Tabang? Is that your N value, Caitlin? What you've just sent me? Okay, wait. So in Nhlanhla? Yes, Yamkela, minus. Just needs to be a negative in the formula, but that's correct. Lebogang, that's correct. Leray, correct. Ntukozo, correct. Awami, correct. Tato, you slightly out. Tato, send me your N value so I can see what happened there. Your N value might be Amahle, perfect. Okay. So, and Nhlanhla, do you remember the beginning of the lesson? I think it was Leray. There we go, Yamkela. That's a title, perfect. Okay, that's correct. So I'm going to do the calculation again now, but most of you have got it correct now, or those of you that have shared your answers. And Nhlanhla, I haven't forgotten, I'm going to come back to what I was going to say. So we've got 10,000 Rand, 1 minus 1 plus, and then this should be 0.12 over 12, 12% per annum compounded monthly. And then because it was for a period of 20 years, this would be minus 240. Okay, 12 times 20 divided by 0.12 over 12. So that gives us an answer of 908,194.16, which Yolanda says, okay, 25 years. Okay, no problem. Okay, so Mamelo and Nhlanhla. Mamelo is asking why we're using the present value formula. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Nhlanhla. Okay, so it is a present value, all right, like a loan. Okay, so when you win the lottery, if you look at it like it was a graph, okay, so remember here, we said a lottery win, we would use the present value formula. So when you win the lottery, you win a lot of money. So here's your present value. Okay, as you take money out of it, over time, what's going to happen to the money in the bank? Okay, it's going to become 0. So this is time. Okay, so that's why a lottery win or an inheritance or a loan is a present value calculation. Okay, so you're starting off with a present value that gets smaller or decreases over a period of time. Okay, with regular payments. Okay, in Tlantla, there always has to be a gap. It's only going to be a 1 month gap if you're paying monthly. If you are paying quarterly, like this situation over here, then it's not going to be a gap of 1 month. Okay, Mamelo? All right, so it's for all loans, inheritances, lottery wins, money that's been borrowed. It is a present value calculation. When you are saving money and in the future you're going to have a big amount of money, then it's future value. A sinking fund, a retirement annuity, a pension, an RA, a retirement annuity, that kind of thing. Okay. All right, Ntlantla. Now look at this example here, Ntlantla, because this also answers what you and Lorraine were both asking this lesson. How much can Lerato borrow from a bank if she repays the loan by means of equal quarterly payments of 2,000 Rand starting in 3 months' time? The interest rate is 18% per annum, compounded quarterly, and the duration of the loan is 10 years. Okay, so this example is here because it's not a monthly payment that is taking place. Okay, it is a quarterly payment that is taking place. But look at the interest rate. It is also compounded quarterly. All right, and you will see that in your calculations. All right, so what do we think we should do here? Let's go and get our formula. Anyone feeling brave and wants to tell us what we think we should write in this situation? How much can Lerato borrow? Means calculate P. If she repays the loan by means of equal quarterly payments of 2,000 Rand, so what's the value of X? X must be 2,000 Rand in this case. Okay, good. So Tabang's already sent me an answer. Good, Tabang, that is the right answer. Lebogang, you've got your hand up. You're welcome to unmute and speak.
Ma'am, can I try, ma'am?
Please, awesome. I'm so glad. Go for it.
So ma'am, it would be 1 plus, would it be 18 over 400?
That's fine. We can write it that way. 18 over 400. That's not a problem. I'll write it the other way as well for other people. Perfect. Close brackets. Sure.
Then would the n value be to the power negative 3?
Why negative 3?
Because if it's
the loan is for the duration of 10 years.
Oh, so ma'am, would it be?
What do you think the end value should be? 170.
117.
117. 117 is not correct, I'm afraid. City, so it's just a different way of doing it. I'll tell you now. Awami, don't get frightened. It's not 117, no. So think about it like this. Think about it like this, right? If you are paying quarterly, how many times a year do you pay? So if you're paying something on a quarterly basis, how many times in a year would you pay? How many quarters in a year? Yeah. There are 4 quarters in a year, right? So if you're paying on a quarterly basis, you are paying 4 times a year. So if you're paying 4 times a year for 10 years, how many payments is that? Exactly. It would be 40 payments. Okay, Lebogang, so it should be minus 40 over here. Now, Awami, don't stress. This is just a different way of writing the same thing. It means exactly the same thing. If we go 0,18 over 4, you get exactly the same as if you write it 18 over 400. Some teachers just teach it that way. All right, so it gives you exactly the same thing. It's just a different way of setting it out. Okay. Oh, don't forget to close our square bracket. Okay, and then at the bottom, we can also put 18 over 400, or I can write my usual 0,18 over 4. That's it, Ayanda. There we go. All right, so we should all be getting the same answer. That's it. That's it, Yamkela. 36803, comma 17. Okay, now Ntokozo, do we disregard the starting in 3 months' time? So Ntokozo, I'm so glad you asked that question, because the payments are made on a quarterly basis. So this is what I was saying at the beginning of the lesson. Okay, there is a gap of 1 quarter in this case. So this is fine. Okay, there was a gap of 1 quarter. Here there was a gap of 1 month and we were paying monthly. Here there was a gap of 1 month, we were paying monthly. All right. So the fact that there was a gap of 1 quarter here, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question. All right. What happens if I keep everything in this question the same? All right. But now I go here and I change this. And instead of saying she's starting to pay in 3 months' time, I say she's going to pay in 6 months' time. What happens now? The N is always negative, Boitumelo, in our formula, yes. Okay, for the other formula, future value, it's not negative. What would happen now? Matrix. You would have seen ones like this at school. Your teachers would have showed you. N becomes 20. No, it doesn't. No, unfortunate. In Tlantla, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. No, it's not Tebogang. But in Tlantla, that's not the only thing that happens. That's not the only thing. There's 2 changes that are going to take place now. Yes. Uma, that's right. You would minus 1 from the N. No, you're not going to use. Yes, you would use compound interest. Where, Ayanda? Where are you going to use compound interest? Okay, Ayanda, go for it. You've got your hand up. You're welcome to speak, Ayanda. Don't know where Ayanda's gone. Okay, so Lesego, don't be, I don't know why you lost. Let us know what's bothering you. Okay, so if you're stuck, rather than saying I'm lost or whatever, rather explain to us what you don't understand, because then that's more helpful in us trying to be able to help you, right? What I've done here is I've changed the question, Lesego, all right, in order to get you guys to think a little bit. right? I've said if I changed this question, kept everything the same, and I said now I'm going to start in 6 months' time, instead of Lorato starting in 3 months' time, how is that going to change the amount of money that Lorato borrows from the bank? Yes, Boitumelo, that's correct. Why would N be 20? Lesejo. In the first instance, when we did this calculation, before we even changed it, we said that the interest, the payments were taking place on a quarterly basis, 4 times a year. So if you pay 4 times a year for 10 years, that's 40 payments in a 10-year period. Yes, but Lesejo, it says here that it's equal quarterly payments, doesn't it? They didn't say anything about it being half yearly or semi-annual payments. It said quarterly payments. All right. It didn't say anything about 6 monthly payments. All right. So let's have a look at how. All right. Okay. So let's have a look at how changing Lorato paying, instead of starting in 3 months' time, if she started in 6 months' time, how this would change our calculation. And it changes it quite a bit. All right. As I say, your teacher should have done calculations like this with you. Okay. First of all right, if you read something, now I want you guys to listen to me carefully now. If you read something like this, okay, where they say to you, oh, you can buy this car for 250,000 Rand, but you don't have to start paying. You can buy it now in, what month are we in? August, but your first payment is only next year in January. All right. Sounds fantastic to us, doesn't it? We think to ourselves, oh, great. That means we get to drive this car for 4 months without paying for it. Do you really think that the bank is going to let that happen? Do we really think that the bank is going to be kind and give us 4 free months driving a brand new car? No ways. Absolutely no ways. Okay, so people that are there that lend money to us, they're doing that so that they can make even more money out of us. So if we take a loan and our loan is to be repaid on a monthly basis, but we only start paying for it in 6 months' time, what's happening to that loan before we start paying for it? Teddy? That's it, Ayanda. Okay, the loan increases, exactly. The loan is going to grow with interest, precisely. Okay, so that's exactly what would happen to Lorato over here. Okay, it would accumulate in interest. Okay, until she starts to repay. Okay. Now remember, the payments here are taking place on a quarterly basis. All right, every 3 months. So how many 3-month periods are there in 6 months? How many 3-month periods in 6 months? 2, exactly, right? There has to still be a gap. So if the loan is granted over here at T0, T1 is going to be 3 months later. So this is 3 months later. Okay. Is she paying? No. She starts to pay over here, 6 months later. This is now where she makes her first payment of 2,000 Rand. There has to be a gap. So from T0 to T1, the loan grows with interest. Okay, so we write it like this. Okay, we write our P, but we give it compound interest. Okay, we put a bracket next to P. Okay, the interest rate is 18% per annum, compounded quarterly. Remember, your exponent represents the number of times the interest is compounded in the period. So if interest is compounded quarterly, it will be compounded once in these 3 months from T0 to T1. Okay. Now she's making payments of 2,000 Rand a month. Let's just move over a little bit more here. Let's just scooch over a little bit. Okay, so that's her installment, 1 minus 0. Oopsie, sorry, forgot to put in the 1 plus 0.18 over 4. Okay, now Lorato still wants to pay this off in 10 years. Okay, so she started paying 1 period later. All right, so here, the number of payments that she would now make would be 39. There would be 1 less payment. Okay, and then 0.18 over 4. Okay. All right, so a few of you are, shame, this is difficult work, isn't it? Okay. First of all, in Tlantla, yes, that's correct. What you said there is fine. You said ma'am is still part of the question. I don't understand what you mean by that, Amahle. Okay, so here is our calculation. Okay, so our p-value, the amount of money that she can borrow, has to grow with interest. That's why there is a bracket. Menenhle, why is there 1 less payment? Okay, because she's not paying at T1, Menenhle. She only starts at T2. Remember, she was going to make 40 payments before, so she's made 1 less payment now. Okay, because she's starting to pay at T2 and not at T1. No. In Tlantla, there has to be an equals here. We're trying to calculate. So it's like you saying to me here, I must take this equals out and replace it with a plus. Then what am I calculating? It's your present value. That's what we calculate. We're subbing into this formula. Okay, so now, in order to work out what P would be, we would have to take what was on the right-hand side of our equal sign and simplify it, and then divide it by the bracket. So we would end up with 2,000 times 1 minus 1 plus 0.18. Yes, Amahle?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So what we're doing here is we're answering the previous question. So I just want to make sense of it quickly. So
Sure.
the calculation that you're doing right now on the one on the right.
Yes. Yes.
So we are subtracting one one installment of payments from the 40 that she was supposed to make, but she only started paying 3 months later.
Correct.
Okay.
So look at it like this, okay? So the loan is granted at T0. She doesn't make the payment at T1. She starts paying at T2, which is 6 months after the loan is granted. She still wants to repay the loan in 10 years.
Okay.
Okay, so her first payment takes place here where the pink arrow is. How many payments? So this is the first payment at T2. How many payments would there be up to T40? There would be 39 payments. It's not 40 minus 2, it's 40 minus 1.
Okay.
Okay, now the reason for that is, look at this. This makes it a bit easier to understand, okay? Let's say T3, T4, T5. If I start paying at T2 and I pay 10 Rand, and then I pay 10 Rand here, and I pay 10 Rand here, and I pay 10 Rand here. From T2 to T4, sorry, to T5, how many payments of 10 Rand have I made? I've made 4, haven't I? I can't say 5 minus 2 and say I've made 3 payments, because I haven't. I've started counting at 2. It's the same idea. So if she starts paying at T0 at T2 and she finishes paying at T40, she's made 39 payments, not 38 payments. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am. So the first calculation that we did, the one on the far left, what
Far
was that
left.
for?
So that was the original question. I then changed the question. I said to you, how would this question change if I said she wasn't paying in 3 months' time, but she was paying in 6 months' time? I asked you guys that. I said,
Oh, okay,
how
that
would
makes
this,
so
how
much.
okay, so we've
I
got
thought it was all
exactly
one
the
question.
No. I'm saying to you, we've done this question on the left here, where she repaid starting in 3 months' time. This is what we did. Now imagine I changed that 3 to a 6. How does it change the exact same calculation? And that's what I was trying to discuss with you guys.
Okay, that makes so much
Does
more
that make
sense.
more sense now?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
I thought it was all one question.
No. So the original
Yeah.
question was the one on the left. And now when I say to you, okay, well, what if I change this 3 to a 6? How does it change my calculation? Well, look at what's happened. First of all, we've now got this bracket by P that we didn't have, and it has changed the N value. That's what I was trying to get you guys to understand. Okay.
Sorry, Teacher Lee, as you take Teddy's question, I'm gonna jump off to the other class.
That's fine. I've also got load shedding, so you're going to have to give me a couple of seconds to rejoin. All right.
That's fine. I also wanted to just make an announcement about them joining for those Saturday again. So all of you who didn't hear that announcement at the beginning, so please join us, because we are going to do some important work on series of Saturdays for August. So you're going to be training us with trigonometry and other work that they don't actually do in class, which requires written exam. Yeah.
Exactly, which is important for obviously their matric trials and finals. Okay. Thank you, Yolanda. I'll see you in the next class.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so someone did put the correct answer in. What time does it start? It's from 1 until 3, Unati. All right, so over here on the right-hand side, you should be getting 34,889, 29. All right. So I hope with Amathle's question, yes, we do record Nonjabulo. Yes, it will be recorded. It would be. Okay, so I was just asking how that question would change. All right, so you can see, no problem, Matle, right? Lorata would be able to borrow less money than originally. Okay, so she'd be able to borrow 36,803 Rand. Here she'd only be able to borrow 34,000 Rand. Okay,